Peace everybody, back with another video. This is Biden administration expected to ban menthol cigarettes, targeting 85% of black smokers. So now the Biden administration wants to ban menthol cigarettes. In other words, say goodbye to them. You will not be seeing them anymore. And this is what they want to get rid of. Literally. The Biden administration is reportedly expected to propose a ban on menthol cigarette production in the United States, a move that both advocates and critics of the plan say is targeted at the 85% of black smokers who prefer the mint-flavored product. Yes, so the Biden administration is reportedly expected to propose a ban on menthol cigarettes. So, in other words, you will not be allowed to buy them ever again if they go through with this. And I know people are going to be outraged, and everybody better be treading lightly, because people who love their menthol cigarettes, and if it gets banned, oh boy, I hate to be in their shoes. What's going to happen? The Washington Post reported Wednesday that the purported plan to ban menthol cigarettes and cigars is set to be rolled out this week and is a priority for black health advocates and anti-tobacco groups, which note that African Americans have been disproportionately harmed by the products. Yeah, so this is what the Washington Post is reporting on, that the purported plan to ban menthol cigarettes and cigars is set to be rolled out this week. In other words, if they go through with it, don't go looking at the stores, because you better be going after the Biden administration. All you Biden supporters, you wanted this, now you have to own it. Earlier this week, the ACLU and more than 24 other organizations signed a letter to the Biden administration expressing their deep concerns over reports of a potential menthol ban writing. Such a ban will trigger criminal penalties, which would disproportionately impact people of color, as well as prioritize criminalization over public health and harm reduction. A ban will also lead to unconstitutional policing and other negative interactions with law enforcement. So this is what the letter is all about, that such a ban will trigger criminal penalties, which would disproportionately impact people of color. So that's what they want to do. So they're just so desperate to get it banned. The groups pointed to the case of Eric Garner, killed by a police chokehold for illegal selling Lucy cigarettes, and noted that at this very moment Congress is debating how and when to discontinue cannabis prohibition and sanction legal regulated adult sale in order to reverse the human catastrophe of decades of criminalization. So yeah, now they're throwing Eric Gardner in the middle of it. He has nothing to do with what is going on. Eric Gardner is deceased, and yet they throw this man in the middle of everything. Of course, they're going to point it out, saying, "Oh, Eric Garner killed by a police chokehold for illegally selling Lucy cigarettes," and noted that at this very moment. And of course, Congress is debating on how and when to discontinue cannabis prohibition and sanction legal. In other words, everything's going to get banned in this country and around the world, because they don't want nothing. They don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to have fun. They don't want you to do this. They don't want you to do that. The letter added that a ban on menthol cigarettes also risks creating large underground illegal markets, which would be a massive law enforcement problem for states counties and cities, since all states treat unlicensed sale of tobacco products as a crime, usually as a felony punishable by imprisonment. So this is what they want to do. They want to put you in jail for a felony for having unlicensed sale of tobacco. So if you have an unlicensed tobacco, don't be so surprised when they come and get you. Just be prepared and tell them to get out. The Post noted that some black leaders, including Reverend L. Sharpton, are also against banning menthol cigarettes smokes and say it's discriminatory precisely because of the product's popularity among African Americans. So why is Al Sharpton sticking his nose into something that does not concern him? Why is he doing that? First of all, Al Sharpton is a Democrat and he's racist. All right, he's anti-American. All right, he does not love this country at all. Just like the Kabalis, they don't love this country either. So why is he sticking his nose into something that does not have to do with him? Even though it also says Reverend L. Sharpton are also against banning menthol smokes. But still, he could have kept his nose out of something that does not concern him. The newspapers then wrote, but band supporters, including many of the black community, countered that the idea that a menthol ban would criminalize use of menthol cigarettes or lead to confrontations with the police is a red herring. They note that a ban would apply to manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers, not the consumers. The FDA does not have a police force or take action against individual users, they add. Alright, so they don't have a police force, so what? But that doesn't mean you gotta go and ban menthol cigarettes. Alright, so now they're blaming the black community, countered that the idea that a menthol ban would criminalize use of menthol cigarettes or lead to confrontations. Yeah, what kind of confrontations are they talking about? What, just because these cigarettes have over 7,000 chemicals in it that they're not going to tell you about? Oh yeah, they're hiding a lot of stuff. The Daily Wire reported that, according to the FDA, more than 19.5 million Americans currently smoke menthol cigarettes. The agency says that 85.5% of African American smokers smoke menthol cigarettes, while 46% of Hispanic smokers, 39% of Asian smokers, and 28.7% of white smokers use them. So the African Americans are the most ones that smoke menthols because it's got a high rating of 85.5%. All right. Wow, 46% of Hispanics are the smoke menthols, and 39% of Asian smokers, and then 28.7% of white smokers use them. So the African Americans are the highest ones of all. And of course, the Biden administration, like I said, y'all that voted for this, you wanted it, now you have to own it. You wanted this country destroyed? Say goodbye to it. And then that means say goodbye to your menthol cigarettes. And this is reported by the Blaze Media. Leave your comments below. I am out.